Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Tournament Takes. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. Hope it was better than mine. I actually had a horrible Sunday. I mean, it was a good Sunday, but I had got completely destroyed in DFS. I had a lot of good picks that went off, but plenty of picks that actually ended up busting. I will do a review video in a little while and actually post it up on the channel as well. But for right now, let's get what you guys are here for. I believe it's the last game on the Week 14 slate. It's the Monday Night Football game against between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. Okay, so this game has an over/under of 45 and a half points. Some quite a bit of injuries to note on here. One big thing that I want you guys to kind of keep an eye on. It's about 3:30 here on the West Coast, so games are gonna get going in about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes or so. So you want to see if Calais Campbell is in. As of right now, he has a calf injury. He didn't practice all week. They said he's going to give it a go. Calais Campbell is the defensive lineman for the Baltimore Ravens. He is actually on their team right now. He is the best run stopper. Actually, no, he's the third best. You got Derek Wolfe and Fort, the linebacker there, who's pretty good. But if he's out, he's gonna have on the depth chart. It seems like they're gonna have Justin Matabuk or Justin Ellis. Justin Matabuk most likely is gonna be replacing him at the right defensive end. So if that's the case, his uh his score as far as blocking the run right now is really bad. So that tells me that if he doesn't go that many snaps, he said they're gonna have limited snaps. If Alice or Matabuk are filling in for him, they're significantly worse against the run. I mean, we're talking a lot worse. So this is a spot where you guys want to keep an eye on. The Cleveland Browns in this game are both of these teams are actually are run heavy teams. So Vegas is projecting kind of a lower scoring game for both of them here. If Calais Campbell is in, I think a sneaky thing would be to kind of fade Nick Chubb in this spot because he's going to be highly owned. But let's get into it. Let's get into the slate a little bit. At the top we got Lamar Jackson. In my opinion, right now, Cleveland is pretty bad against the pass. They're giving up, 25th in deep passes, 22nd in short passes. They're giving up a lot deep down the left of the field and deep right of the field. They're also giving up a lot down the short middle, and in the end zone, they seem to be giving up a lot to the tight end, which we know, Mark Andrews is actually a big target for Lamar Jackson. So I think Lamar Jackson can get it done in plenty of ways here. Their offensive line hasn't been playing great, and they have been dealing with, excuse me, they have been dealing with some injury, not necessarily on their offensive line, but you don't have Nick Boyle there. He's gone for the year. He's on IR. So I think this is a spot. Luke Wilson is questionable to play. I think this is a spot where you would really want to get some exposure to Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in the captain makes the most sense to me. In a slate like this, he just has, that big of an upside. You could make a case for Nick Chubb, but I feel like Lamar Jackson has that rushing upside, and I feel like we've seen this game play out at the first week of the season. He put up 27 and a half fantasy points. Now I don't expect him to have another performance like this, but if you look at the rushing, he had 7 for 45, and I don't know. Yeah, he didn't have a touchdown in that game. So I do anticipate him to actually get a touchdown here. And like I said, Baltimore's a little banged up, so this is a good spot where you might want to play Nick Chubb. Personally, I think I'm going to kind of fade him here because Calais Campbell is in, but I'll show you kind of the build on which I plan on doing that. If I am going to play him, I'll show you guys the build which I want to play him in. So I really like the Baltimore side in this game. I feel like even Cleveland, since they haven't been good against the pass, Baltimore's having a little tougher time running the ball. And with Baltimore, you always got to figure out between the running backs: is it going to be Dobbins, is it going to be Gus Edwards, or is it going to be Mark Ingram, who's actually priced down at 2,800 on the slate. And the issue is that it could be any one of them in the red zone, and it could be Lamar rushing it. So I'm kind of off of these backs here. I know they will garner some ownership, significantly lower ownership than Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb on the other side. But I don't think this is a place where I want to go. Cleveland has been pretty good. They held, their defensive line right now is They're 20th, but in the league, but they did hold Derrick Henry down a little bit, and that was because also they were able to get out to a big lead passing the ball. But if Cleveland's able to run the ball effectively here, I feel like Lamar Jackson is a good play because it's not only a good play if they're playing from ahead, but it's also a good play if they're playing from behind because it gives you that regardless he's going to be on the field, he gives you that passing upside if they're playing from behind, and that rushing upside if they're playing from ahead. So I do like Lamar Jackson here. In this particular lineup, I plan on pairing him with Mark Andrews. But one of the receivers I really like on this slate is Willie Snead. Now, Willie Snead is coming back from the COVID list. He absolutely, I don't know if he torched these guys in the first game, but he has one of the softer matchups in the league, in the game. Right now, they're showing the matchups that I see, they're showing him playing out of the slot most of the time, and he's going to be playing against MJ Stewart, which is their Cleveland slot corner. Yeah, Cleveland's slot corner. He's playing in the slot 98% of the time. So if I just look at the grades for Cleveland's defense and their slot coverage, let's see. So yeah, MJ Stewart, right? So he's not really a good a slot corner. He's allowing 64% of catches, and he's playing 89% of the snaps. So I really like Willie Snead in this spot. We've seen him have good games, earlier in the season, and as of recently, he's been coming on a lot more. Also, they do tend to play. Cleveland tends to play a zone 70% of the time, and in a zone defense right now, from what I'm seeing. Baltimore, Cleveland. Okay, Baltimore production in a zone defense. So right now in a zone defense, you have Marquise Brown, who's actually the best receiver. The second one right behind them is Willie Snead. So I like both of them. Marquise Brown in a zone defense has had 10 explosive plays, and Willie Snead's had 7. So they've been really really good against this zone defense. So I like both of them. I also like Mark Andrews in a zone coverage. He has a 126.50 rating. So I really, really like that's the quarterback rating when they're targeting these receivers in this kind of defense. So that's why I like Lamar Jackson, and I like pairing him with Mark Andrews, Willie Snead, and Marquise Brown. I don't know, each of these guys could get 4 catches for 40 yards, and Lamar could be rushing touchdowns, so you're kind of limiting here. But I'm playing this lineup with the notion that the Baltimore Ravens are absolutely going to troll the Cleveland Browns here. I feel like even though they're banged up, I think they're going to come out aggressive in this game and kind of show that Lamar can still pass the ball and they can still get it done through the air. And like I said, Cleveland's passing defense is ranked 25th against the deep pass, 22nd against the short pass. A lot deep down the left, deep down the right side of the field. So I feel like this is a spot where Lamar Jackson can really get it done. And I really want pieces of Marquise Brown, and Willie Snead. Mark Andrews actually has one of the tougher matchups because the slot corner or the linebackers for Cleveland are pretty good. So he has one of the tougher matchups, but playing Mark Andrews is kind of like he's going to be there in the red zone. So if you didn't want to, and if you wanted to run it back, it's just somewhere you can kind of play, someone like a Nick Chubb, and the one of the people that I really really like on this slate is Rashard Higgins. Now Rashard Higgins, he's had only a couple good games this season against Tennessee, but he has one of the softer matchups against the Baltimore secondary. The Baltimore secondary is also a little bit banged up. Tremont Williams is not going, so he's likely going to be matched up against Marcus Peters or Marlon Humphrey. And right now, what the matchup is showing me, if let me just pull that up really quick. Okay. Against Marcus Peters is Marlon Humphrey spends most of his time in the slot. He's their slot receiver. He's in there 65% of the time. So he's either going to see Marcus Peters or Devontae Harris. Donovan Peoples Jones is also a good play on the slate because they're he's on the outside as well, but he's just not playing that many snaps. And we might be getting Harrell Dodge back this week. They just also signed a $200 on this slate, Marvin Hall. And Marvin Hall also, like we saw in Detroit, he is a deep threat. So that's kind of why I'm a little lighter on Donovan Peoples Jones. I don't even know how to say his name. Donovan Peoples Jones, right? I'm a little lighter on him. He has that big playability. He can get it done on this slate, but 4,800 for him at this, on this slate with this price tag kind of seems a little expensive to me. So I'm not really going there. Also, like I said, in this particular lineup, I want to, excuse me, I want to take the Baltimore, most of the Baltimore side. So I really like, Mark Andrews to try to get. I think Mark Andrews gets into the end zone here. So I really want to play him along with Willie Snead and Marquise Brown. I think again, this is going to be a game where we see more passing out of the game script. I'm seeing is a little more passing out of Baltimore. Maybe Cleveland, gets out to an early lead. Maybe they're able to run the ball effectively with Nick Chubb. And then they have to throw, and I do think Nick Chubb is a good play. So I'll show you a second build that I like with him. But Rashard Higgins, if they are playing from behind, he is getting, he will be getting the targets. He has, again, I said, softer matchups. He's on the outside. Jarvis Landry is going to be matched up on the inside against the slot corner, Marlon Humphrey, which is a tougher matchup. So I do expect, Rashard Higgins to have actually a lot better game here. I think he has the best game on this side. That's kind of why I'm only targeting him. So that's kind of who I like from Cleveland. I feel like again the matchup is good. He's on the field. He's playing a good amount of snaps, and he's also getting targeted in the red zone. Right now in the red zone, he's getting targeted. He's getting targeted about 20% of the time. About 17.4% of the time. Jarvis Landry is getting those red zone targets. But again, the thing with both of these teams, with Cleveland and with Baltimore, is they tend to run a lot. So with the Baltimore side, I feel like I'm capturing the passing upside and the rushing upside with Lamar Jackson. And I'm kind of avoiding the backs there. It's tough to figure out who it's going to be. We've seen a couple weeks that it's Gus Edwards breaking off big runs. We saw last week that it was J.K. Dobbins breaking off big runs. They're kind of phasing Mark Ingram out a little bit there. So it could be those two backs carrying most of the load, and then Mark Ingram carrying like 20%. Those two backs splitting 40%. But again, not somewhere where I want to go. I would rather just take the receivers that I know that are going to be on the field. Another thing to note is both of these teams are not really playing three wide receiver sets. So a lineup with all three wide receivers is going to be really contrarian. Cleveland's 31st and three wide receiver set. They're first in the league in two tight end set. And Baltimore right now, at three wide receiver set, they're 23rd. Two tight end sets, they're 14th. But both of these teams, you have injuries to Austin Hooper on Cleveland side also. He's probably not going to go this week. I don't think that he's going to play. So you have cheap plays like Harrison Bryant and Njoku that some people are going to be targeting. I think Njoku is a decent play, but not someone, again, that I'm really targeting. I like the wide receiver here more. And then someone that I think that's really good this week or in this game is Justin Tucker. He's been getting it done. The idea is playing a 5-1 lineup and just assuming that Baltimore absolutely trolls Cleveland here, and maybe they're not able to run the ball effectively. Again, Calais Campbell is in, so people are not going to see that, and I don't think that's really going to depress the ownership on Nick Chubb. So if he's in, and coaches lie to us all the time. If he's in, and he said, he's probably not going to play a ton of snaps, but if he's in there, and he's playing, I'm assuming that he's healthy. He hasn't practiced this week much, right? He's practiced. He didn't practice all week, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. And he has a calf injury, So this is like a really difficult spot. So I think you could take shots on both, like just kind of build a script where if he is in, you're leaning more towards a Cleveland passing attack, and then if he's out, then you're leaning towards a Nick Chubb rushing attack. Because I think he makes a huge difference on whether or not Chubb has a good game or not. So this is the first build, guys, that I'm kind of taking here. It's leaving 300 on the salary. I don't know how contrarian this will actually be. I just like I think the receivers are in a really, really good spot. Cleveland is giving up a significant amount of production to the wide receivers, so I really, really like these guys. And then the second lineup that I'm trying to build, I'm only running out two lineups today. Second lineup I like is, it's Rashard Higgins again. Like I said, I really like him in this game. I think, like I said, with Donovan Peoples-Jones, and with Marvin Hall being there, I feel like that third wide receiver position is going to be it's going to be virtually non-existent, especially if they're going to be running 2 tight end sets more. They're not really running 3 tight end sets. So I feel like he's going to be on the field. He's running the most snaps out of, or running the most routes out of anyone on the team. Right now, actually last week he ran 29 routes, and Jarvis Landry ran 26. The week before that, he ran 21. Landry ran 21. Week before that, 16 and 16. Week before that, he ran 16, and Jarvis Landry ran 17. So these are not a lot of routes to begin with. These are really, really small amount of routes. So I'm counting on just a very effective game here, or that they're playing from behind, and Baker has to throw it a lot more than he originally would. Same thing on the other side. Marquise Brown, he's running 20 routes. Duvernay's 20 routes. Willie Snead was out last week, um, but this week he's back. So I expect those, to remain fairly consistent. Mark Andrews actually is probably one of the ones that is running the most routes in this game, and he also is getting, he has about 40% of the touchdown equity. He's getting 40% of the targets in the end zone from Lamar Jackson. So I think Mark Andrews is a really, really tough fade in this spot with the amount of end zone looks that he's getting. I think that he's someone that I really want to have exposure to, because if it's passing the ball, he could really get it done. Now, a lineup, you could also play Mark Andrews in the captain spot, but I feel like if Mark Andrews, the only way Mark Andrews, Willie Snead, or Marquise Brown get there is that Lamar Jackson's throwing them the ball, and if Lamar Jackson's throwing the ball and he has rushing upside, it just makes him that much better of a captain. So, in this one, I have him in the flex. Again, this is assuming that, Rashard Higgins, they're playing from behind, and Higgins is going to be the one receiver that's getting most all the work, and you got Baker Mayfield throwing it to him. Now, this is another lineup that I could also like I said, I like Tucker. If this is a game that they're going to roll in, I think that even if drives stall out, I think we've seen Tucker hit 50 yarders before. 60 yarders, 51, 55, 46. So he definitely has the leg to get there. If this is a more defensive battle, then you're definitely going to see Justin Tucker getting some points. So I think he's really, really cheap. He's a staple in both my lineups. Willie Snead, again, he's just the amount of volume that he's getting. I feel like it's a super hard fade for me. So he's going to be in both the lineups. Andrew's going to be in both. Marquise Brown is someone that I'm a little lighter on. Like, he's in one of the two lineups. I mean, it's still not saying much. He's still 50% of my lineups. But I really like Marquise Brown too. Now, in this spot, I may play this same lineup, but instead of playing Baker Mayfield here, I may be playing Nick Chubb, right? And this is purely because, again, if they're playing from behind, Rashard Higgins, maybe he gets a bunch of passes, and then Nick Chubb rushes in for the touchdown. So, just the news of Calais Campbell in this game, I think people are going to overlook, and it's going to kind of get me a little bit off Nick Chubb. Now, it also might move the ownership way too much into fading Chubb, but I really think that his owners, Nick Chubb's ownership in this game is going to be very highly owned, so I don't mind fading him. But the problem is it, even if he gets 60 yards and touchdown, can I see Baker Mayfield still getting 12 points? In this particular lineup, if I'm playing Rashard Higgins, I really want Mayfield in this particular lineup. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it, guys. I'm looking at it as, they're going to completely blow out Cleveland in this spot. The spread's only 3 points. They're expecting a closer game. I will also build likely my third and final lineup maybe that I play with the same kind of build with Nick Chubb in as opposed to Baker Mayfield. So good luck, guys. That's kind of it for this video. Just a quick, short video, give you guys a little information on kind of where I'm at and how I see this game going. And I'll be back here either later today or tomorrow with, week 14 wrap up and, week 14 Draftkings slate wrap up. And I look forward to the week 15 Draftkings slate. I think we have a couple different games this weekend. There's a couple on a Saturday and there's a couple on, or I think there's 2 games on Saturday and a couple on Sunday. So it's getting down the stretch here. So we'll get into that shortly. So good luck tonight, guys. I think one thing to note really is really try to get Lamar Jackson in that captain spot. His ceiling is just it's higher than any other player, excluding Nick Chubb on the slate. So this could be a spot also where I maybe try another lineup with Chubb at captain. But given that Calais Campbell news, guys, I think you guys really don't want to overlook that if he is in, even if he's playing 35% of the snaps, I expect him to at least affect 20% of those snaps that he's playing. So maybe those 20% of the snaps, maybe Nick Chubb, it's not all Nick Chubb's 20%. Maybe it affects 10% of what he's doing. So, keep an eye on that. If we get closer to the game time and we see that he's warming up and that he's ready to go, and he's moving quickly out there, then I think that's cue for a Nick Chubb fade for me. But good luck, guys, and I'll see you guys back here with the next video.